get so excited when a new book in this series comes out because they are just, I love them. Hi guys, it's April, and I'm gonna do this review the same way I do all of my other reviews. I'm gonna have the non-spoilery section up front, followed by the spoiled fill dump afterwards, in case you don't want to spoil yourself. But of course, I will not judge you for anything you decide to do. I just love that you've come to hang out with me today. So Across the Green Grass Field by Seanan McGuire is book 6 in the Wayward Children series. This book follows Reagan and her story through her door. Reagan, as a young girl, quickly discovers that there's a right and a wrong way to be a girl. So she quickly starts to develop a mindset of what she should be compared to what she is. Because of this, she quickly starts to realize that she's not developing like other girls. She soon learns that she is intersex. Through that, she ends up finding her door and ending up in the Hooflands. The Hooflands have always believed that when a human shows up, it triggers some kind of change. They are heroes. So Reagan quickly learns that it is her role to become the hero and save the Hooflands, but she needs to discover what she's saving the Hooflands from. This story very much fits in with the rest of the Wayward Children series, except for this one is almost softer by comparison, simply because the story of Reagan is a little less action-packed than the rest of the story. This one is more about finding belonging and understanding what it means to be a hero and just finding acceptance, which I think is even greater than a lot of the other stories in this series so far. It isn't action-packed with lots of bangs and a lot of flash, but it is a wonderful story about a young girl who comes to accept herself. And I loved it for that. I can't say that I myself know a lot about intersex and how that affects people, but seeing that being part of Reagan's journey was an eye-opening experience. And then just the Hooflands itself, this is a world that is completely populated by creatures who all have hoofs. So you have centaurs, you have unicorns, you have kelpies, you have fawns, and how all of those creatures interact with each other and how they view each of their different races and the ruling of this land, I think plays very well into Reagan's story. And I think all of it just came together so very nicely in Seanan McGuire's beautiful writing style. This one, while it was heavy in some topics, it just felt a whole lot lighter than a lot of the other ones have been to date. And I very, very much appreciated that. So if you have been reading this series, I highly recommend that you read this one because I enjoyed it. I really did. And of course, this is the point in which I'm going to start going into some of my spoiled-filled thoughts. So if you don't want to spoil yourself, go off, read the book, come back. I would love to start a conversation with you. Of course, tell me down below if you plan on reading this book or not. And here begins the spoilers. So this is a novella, so there's not really a lot that I really think I want to talk about in this book because a lot of it kind of lets itself speak. But I did start hinting at the fact that Reagan's story is a lot less blood and gore and bang than a lot of the other stories have been so far. And it's less about death and more about Reagan understanding friendship and coming to accept herself, even if it's not everybody's standard of normal. And the fact that sometimes just because you are something doesn't mean that you are or have the right to be the ruler over everyone else, because Reagan's journey to save Hoofland ultimately leaves her in the spot where she discovers that the last human who came through is actually the one who's pulling all the strings. And the whole time she's noticing how unfair and how odd the interactions between the different species is, and how they go about their daily lives is just a little bit off. And when she comes to the realization that just because you are of a certain gene or you are of a certain species, it doesn't mean you have the right to a certain kind of life or the right to make decisions or just the right, if that makes sense. Genes don't determine who you are. Genes just make you, but it's you who decides which step you will take next, which I think is part of Reagan's journey of, because of being intersex, the genes might say something, but it's up to Reagan to decide who she really is. And I love that. I love that so much. So let me know what your thoughts on this book are. I would love to hear them. And of course, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe down below, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.